MTN 530 News.
Thanks for making MTN a part of your Labor Day. I'm Tim McGonigal. Following 2 positive cases of COVID-19 at Great Falls High School over the weekend, cleaning crews have been working to get the school ready to reopen. MTN's Matt Holzapfel has the latest on the cleaning process and when we can expect Great Falls High to reopen.
2 positive cases of COVID-19 meant cleaning crews had to spend the entirety of their Labor Day weekend disinfecting this building. They also had to give special time and attention to certain classrooms and spaces that were deemed infected or contaminated areas.
So on Friday night, about 6 o'clock, I got a phone call from the principal, Mr. Hobble, here at the school, and he notified me that we had 2 cases of the virus here in the building.
Contact tracing helped Brent and his crew identify which affected rooms needed to be completely sanitized and disinfected.
That process involved using our air scrubbing machines here that are HEPA filtered.
The cleaning process for the affected areas is more involved than the normal building cleaning. This year, Brent's crew has been coming into classrooms after students and teachers wipe down their spaces during school hours. This weekend, the cleaners did double duty.
We used air machines and UV lamps versus your regular cleaning. Staff and students both clean in between class changes. They'll do their own desktops. And then once the last bell rings at the end of the day, our custodians come in and they'll do a disinfect on the desktops too. So it is an added cleaning to us, to our regular routine.
The cleaning that they're doing for the infected areas also includes workers coming in full PPE, though they were done by early Monday morning. Brent also added that this thorough cleaning that has become the new norm was once reserved only for when students were gone for an extended period of time, like Thanksgiving or spring break.
As of right now, the plan is still to reopen Great Falls High School on Tuesday, September 8th. We'll let you know if that plan changes between now and the start of school on Tuesday. In Great Falls, Matt Holzapfel, MTN News.
Once the cleaning is completed, Brent informed Superintendent Tom Moore, who will make the final decision on when to reopen the building. Well, it may still be summer, but it sure looked like winter outside in parts of our viewing area today, which means ski season isn't that far away. The slopes at Showdown were covered in snow this afternoon. While the slopes won't open until December 11th, staff members are excited to see the snow and say they are in full preparation mode.
We are currently maintaining all our lifts, doing our annual maintenance on those. We have a logging crew on the mountain this summer doing some additional logging to what was started last year, and our guys are out supporting that effort.
The resort is also making changes to comply with the state's Phase 2 coronavirus guidelines. For more information, you can head to our website. Well, the unofficial end to summer was cool, wet, and as we just saw, snow covered. For proof, here's MTN's Curtis Grevenitz with our first forecast.
Hello everybody and happy Labor Day from Montana here. I'm up on McDonald Pass and as you can see the snowflakes are flying. The wind is blowing. It's 30 degrees. We've got a northeast wind gusting up to 30 miles per hour. That makes the wind chill 15 degrees and at least 3 or 4 inches of snow has accumulated on the grassy surfaces. The roads a little slushy, but for the most part they're just wet. Now let's take a look at some of the other locations, some of the other mountain passes here around the state. Boulder Hill looking at a good amount of snow coming down there. Up over Rogers Pass, heading over the Continental Divide, seeing some good snow, some slushy conditions, people taking it easy, and moving forward to Bozeman Pass. You can see the snowflakes coming down. Of course, right near this, the Bridger Foothills fire, and we're seeing rain and snow on that fire. On the radar, take a look at all of that rain and higher elevation snow that is falling through a lot of the state. In the forecast headlines, we've got flakes falling on fires. Watch out for some very cold temperatures here tonight, and we'll talk a return to summer coming up in the full forecast.
Thanks, Curtis. Well, the Bridger Foothills fire north of Bozeman saw minor growth overnight. As of this morning, the fire had been mapped at 7,140 acres. The Type 1 incident management team took over the fire this morning. Type 1 teams are the largest, and they have the most resources available to manage the fire. Some evacuees were allowed to temporarily return to their property this morning. The Gallatin County Sheriff's Office has confirmed structures were destroyed by the fire, but at this time just how many is unknown. Firefighters are taking advantage of the cooler weather to secure fire lines and reinforce structure protection. Well, the recent wildfires throughout the state are a reminder to always be prepared in the event of a disaster. September is National Preparedness Month. In the past couple of weeks, wildfires in Montana have forced hundreds of people from their homes. The Red Cross says you should have a disaster evacuation plan and know what to bring with you when you leave.
Make sure your family knows that plan, you practice that plan. We also encourage you to build a kit, a first aid kit that has things like extra medication that you might need if you have to leave your home for a long period of time, cell phone chargers, important documents.
And for more preparedness tips, you can click on the link to this story on our websites. Well, Helena Regional Airport has secured nearly $5 million in federal funding to pay for a major upgrade to the Rocky Mountain Emergency Services Training Center. The Federal Aviation Administration announced the airport will receive $4.9 million in grants, including almost $500,000 from the CARES Act COVID relief package. The training center on the airport campus gives firefighters from around the country practice in putting out aircraft fires. Director Jeff Wadekamper said the grants will pay to fully replace the center's fire system and to make the repairs to the building. Work is set to begin in October. It should wrap up in April in time for the next training season. Well, in Montana's big U.S. Senate race, voters are seeing a deluge of TV advertising. These ads are supporting or attacking either of the candidates, Republican U.S. Senator Steve Daines and his Democratic challenger, Governor Steve Bullock. Last night, we examined a group of ads attacking Governor Bullock. Now, MTN's chief political reporter Mike Dennison takes a closer look at ads that are both supporting and attacking Senator Daines for his actions related to China.
Early in his business career, Senator Daines worked for Procter & Gamble, helping set up factories to make and sell the corporation's consumer goods in China. But as portrayed by an ad from the Democratic Senate Majority PAC, that's not something to brag about.
1994, Steve Daines helped an American corporation build factories in China. Then they laid off 4,000 American workers. Next, Steve Daines went to Congress and refused to crack down on unfair Chinese trade practices.
Daines spent 7 years in China, and during that time, Procter & Gamble did close 4 plants in the U.S. and eliminated 4,000 jobs. But the company has said Daines had nothing to do with that corporate decision, and that the job losses weren't because of expansion in China. The ad also refers to votes Daines took in 2015 against bills to crack down on currency manipulation and other harmful trade practices. He says Montana ag producers and others were concerned the bills would lead to harmful trade retaliation measures. As a senator, Daines has taken several trade missions to China and the Far East, and in 2017 played a key role in ending China's 14-year ban on importing Montana beef. But we're also seeing several ads from Daines and his political allies casting him as a thorn in China's side, like this one from the Republican group One Nation.
Daines supported the toughest U.S. tariffs against China in decades and even went to China to tell them that to their face. Now Daines is fighting to hold China accountable for its coronavirus lies and bring manufacturing jobs and medical supply chains home.
Similar ads have been running in battleground U.S. Senate races around the country, portraying Republicans as tough on China. This ad notes that Daines co-sponsored a Republican bill introduced in May that authorizes sanctions against Chinese officials, companies, and students in the U.S. if China is not cooperating with efforts to stop the spread of the coronavirus. It also says the feds can't buy medical supplies or protective equipment from China, and increases a research tax credit for American companies. But there's been no action on the bill since it was introduced. The ad is correct in saying that Daines supports Trump administration tariffs meant to discourage Chinese trade abuses. How much will China be an issue in Montana's U.S. Senate race? I guess Montana voters ultimately will decide that question. But I'm also guessing there may be some other issues on their mind as well. Reporter from Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
The Senate contest between Daines and Bullock is likely to smash all Montana records for campaign spending. Well, some of us have seen snow today, others are seeing ice, and that's good news for the Great Falls Iceplex. See how they're coping with COVID when the news continues.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching the MTN 530 News.
Welcome back. While many businesses suffered the negative impacts of the pandemic, some seasonal operations were spared. MTN's Lindsay Hyatt takes us inside the Great Falls Iceplex for a look back at last season and into what we can expect from the one ahead.
Today, the Great Falls Iceplex is laying the groundwork for what they hope to be a successful season.
As you can see behind me, we've started to make ice, but it's gray. And if you ever come to a rink, it's not gray, it's white. And it's white because we paint it. So we have a crew of people here, and we're going to go out and spray white paint on the ice.
President of the Great Falls Community Ice Foundation, Teresa Gunn, spent the summer planning how to reopen the rink for the first time since the pandemic began.
You know, we've got all of our cleaning supplies and sprayers and masks, and so we were lucky that we had a lot of time to prepare, and we've been able to see how rinks in other cities and other states have been dealing with things and learn from what they've been doing to try to stay safe up here.
Since their season only runs through March, the Iceplex managed to skate through last season, pandemic problem-free.
We were fortunate. We did have to shut down about 3 days early in March, but overall we were very fortunate that we didn't lose out on too much.
She hopes this season won't be any different.
So, we've lost some programs, but we're hoping that we don't lose any more of the big ones, because
community support keeps the Iceplex doors open.
We don't expect it to be a great year in terms of revenue, but hopefully with the other programs that we've been able to apply for, keep the doors open and be here next season, and hopefully by then things will be better.
The foundation is always accepting donations, but if you can't donate, Gunn asks that you still
come up and support the programs up here.
Reporting in Great Falls, Lindsay Hyatt, MTN News.
The Great Falls Iceplex opens for the season next Monday. You can head to our website for what protocols will be enforced inside the rink. Labor Day was marked by rain and snow for many Montanans. We have your complete forecast coming up next.
Storm Tracker weather starts now with Chief Meteorologist Curtis.
All right, welcome back, everybody, up here on top of McDonald Pass on the Continental Divide, where snow is flying, temperatures are cold, and the wind is blowing here. If you're like me, maybe you're thinking about skiing, let's take a look at Great Divide here, looking at some snow. I think I've skied there when there's been less snow on the mountain. How about the current in Helena? No snow in the Helena Valley, but in the higher elevations around town, obviously there has been snow, and boy, it's been chilly all across the state. Great Falls, a very wet morning into the afternoon. A lot of that precipitation now is moving off towards the south. Look at the current temperatures here around the state. Of course, just a couple of days ago, Saturday, we had record highs in the 90s, even 100, a record high down in Bozeman. Temperatures now in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. Now here on the radar, I put all of the fires in the state, and you can see on the radar the rain and the snow moving over all of Montana's fires. This is absolutely beautiful. Some of the fires saw more than 1 inch of rain, and of course a lot of the fires are seeing some snow. Now this storm will help out other parts of the northern Rockies, expanding the view. You can see the rain and the snow now moving through Montana into Idaho, into northern Wyoming, and this storm will go right down the Rockies all the way down into Colorado and New Mexico. So a good storm helping to douse some of the fires that are burning in the state. Let's move to future track. So this storm, as we go through the rest of this evening, the rain, the snow will continue to move through southern Montana and out of the southern part of the state. Now tonight, with clear skies and high pressure moving in, we're looking at chilly temperatures here for just about everybody, with lows getting down into the 20s and the 30s, and some of those mountain locations will even be down into the teens. Here is the snow forecast, and we're looking at, after a couple of hours here of additional snow, there still could be a few inches here into the higher elevations of southern Montana. The Beartooth Highway likely shut down because of as much as a foot of snow here. So here's the forecast for tonight. Temperatures, numbers going down into the 20s and the 30s for most of Montana. So if you haven't covered up your garden or brought some of those sensitive flowers and vegetation in, likely this is a killing frost and freeze for a lot of locations here. You can see some of those numbers again, teens, 20s, and 30s. And here's the forecast for tomorrow. No snow for tomorrow. That will be down into Wyoming and Colorado if anybody's traveling that way. We will still have some chilly temperatures here in Montana with highs in the 50s. Couple locations will be in the 60s. The mountains hanging on to highs in the 30s here for tomorrow afternoon. So moving on to the 7-day forecast for Helena. Cold tonight, lows down into the 20s. Tomorrow highs in the 50s. And then look at the next several days as the temperatures climb through the 70s back into the 80s. Fire danger will be an issue as we get into Friday with some gusty winds coming through. And for Great Falls, moving to the 7-day forecast, lows in Great Falls tonight likely down into the mid-20s, right around 26, 27 degrees here. But tomorrow, 56 or so for the afternoon high with a light breeze. That's certainly very chilly for the beginning of September. And then moving through the rest of the week, we'll be looking at high temperatures warming up into the 70s and the 80s. This coming weekend, it's back to summer with high temperatures in the 70s and the 80s. So back up here on McDonald Pass, the snow continues to fly, the wind continues to blow. It's cold. It's Labor Day in Montana. I'm Chief Meteorologist Curtis Grevenitz. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Curtis. Well, there were some big plays in week 2 of the Montana high school football season. We'll count down some of the best coming up in this week's MTN Game Changers.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching the MTN 530 News.
Welcome back. The weekend of football saw upsets, overtimes, and spectacular performances on the high school gridiron. Our Tom Wiley breaks down the best of the best in this week's MTN Game Changers.
Hey everybody, we made it to week 2 of high school football. After shaking off a little bit of the rust, the plays got even better this week. We have a very special guest. Missy the Kitty is going to help us count down our top 5 moments of the week in this week's Game Changers. First, let's check in with Cece enjoying her retirement from broadcasting. Found a new pastime, sitting at the top of slides and throwing wood chips down them. Apparently, it's the funniest thing in the entire world. At number 5, Fort Benton has been unstoppable to start the season. They kept it rolling Friday against Cascade. Jace Thompson runs around the traffic, bounces outside, and he is gone. Longhorns win 43-0. At number 4, Missoula Loyola at Fairfield. Watch this guy in 2020. Miguel Perez showing power, elusiveness, and speed. A 30-yard touchdown run on the way to a 22-0 win for the Eagles. At number 3, Ennis hosting Park City. Mustangs trailing, but check out Nicholas Johnson making the acrobatic catch for the touchdown over the defense. But the Panthers win 37-26. At number 2, Townsend hosting defending Class B champion Eureka. Trey Hovland had himself a ball game. In addition to 4 touchdowns on offense, check out the diving interception off the tip, and the Bulldogs pull the upset 27-12. And at number 1, Hamilton at Corvallis. Here's Tyson Rostad airing it out to Jaden Klima. It hauls in the one-handed grab. Got to take another look at this one. Early candidate for play of the year, and Hamilton cruises 53-6. And folks, we still take submissions. If you got some cool plays you want me or Missy to see, just send an email to sports@krtv.com. We'll feature it when we can. Reporting from home, Tom Wiley and Missy the Kitty, MTN Sports.
All right, thanks a lot, Tom. And don't go away. We'll be right back. Well, Jeopardy will look a little different when it returns with new episodes next week. The redesigned set keeps contestants a safe distance from each other and from host Alex Trebek. Trebek, incidentally, returns despite his ongoing battle with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. And former contestant Ken Jennings will also make appearances after signing a contract to become a consulting producer on the show. His new role left some wondering if the 74-time champ will one day replace Trebek. We shall see. But that's good news that new episodes are coming up next week. And the latest episode of Jeopardy is coming up right after this. We'll see you back here tonight at 10. Have a great night.